I'm so proud of the work that I was honored to be a part of. And one of Rebecca's colleagues as well, Leslie T, served on that truck leasing task force as well. But I want to thank Robin for your leadership. I think actually to big picture, what the Biden-Harris administration was able to do was to really amplify conversations that have been scattered. And Alana, you did some of this with your reporting to draw attention to some of these problems, like the driver shortage narrative, which, was really just sort of out there unopposed for so long. And then to have someone like Robin and Secretary Buttigieg talk about things like, the issues that Desiree was raising of sexual assault and safety for women, to talk about the fact that the driver shortage was not, in fact, real, to talk about, truck leasing scams. Just, that was the first time I think a lot of drivers heard the FMCSA and heard the federal government reflecting their view of things. I mean, before that, the American Trucking Associations had largely dominated the public conversation and what a lot of what lawmakers thought and regulators thought and talked about. They set the terms of the debate. And so the Biden-Harris trucking action plan and all the efforts involved in that, I think were the first time that US DOT and FMCSA has really spoken to drivers about the sort of dirty secrets that every driver knows that no one outside the industry seems to be able to sort of understand clearly. And the industry is opaque about a lot of these things, and the ATA deserves a lot of credit for pulling the covers over a lot of important things. Truck leasing was one of them, and so the truck leasing task force, which was convened while Robin was leading the FMCSA, was this incredibly diverse group of folks from former carrier owners to drivers who had gone through lease purchases themselves, people who actually lease trucks legitimately to drivers, the Teamsters, Owner Operator Independent Driver Association, attorneys who represent drivers like Rebecca's colleague, and we went out for a year and a half and held public meetings, listened to drivers. We gathered every scrap of data that we could to see what the impact of these arrangements where carriers were effectively renting a truck to their driver and then deducting all the costs of operating that truck and paying for that truck before the driver could earn any money, what those were and what should be done about it. And what we heard over and over again were consistent stories of this not working out for drivers, misinformation, control over the drivers that prevented them from being successful. And what we didn't hear, which was the counter argument we hear over and over again from the American Trucking Association and some others, Truckload Carrier Association, is that these lease purchase agreements where drivers with no down payment and without a credit check can get into a truck and become an independent owner operator. What we didn't see was any evidence of that, and we begged and pleaded, and we asked carriers who were running these programs to show us the data. We had a subcommittee which went through court records and looked at the type of cases that Rebecca works on to see if there was any indication of what of this being an important pathway to small business ownership. And every bit of evidence we came upon suggested that the harms of this were absolutely overwhelming, and there was virtually no benefit that we could find of these lease purchase agreements. And so we submitted the final report, or FMCSA submitted the final report to Congress and to the Secretary in January, and our recommendation was that we should have legislative action to simply ban these lease purchase agreements, that motor carriers should not be holding the debt of their driver. There are market, mechanisms available for, opportunities for drivers to go out and finance trucks through a third party legitimately. And that, in fact, that is the way that drivers can become true independent owner operators and live that American dream of small business ownership. And these carrier run, employer driven debt programs are in fact a hindrance to that entrepreneurship in the trucking industry and not an important avenue.